Hello, this is the news updates on NTA International. I am Charles Alpha. In a major push for funding and technical support for the Nigerian energy transition plan, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo will be delivering a keynote address at a high-level meeting in New York Friday with global agencies and potential financial partners in attendance. The meeting hosted by the Rockefeller Foundation is to facilitate the activation of the voluntary carbon market in Nigeria and on the African continent. The high-level meeting will also be attended by officials from the U.S. government and will explore potential opportunities which carbon markets offer to generate resources for clean energy transition while accelerating economic growth in Nigeria and other African countries. The federal government says a lot of reforms have taken place to make sure that the nation harnesses her mineral resources optimally to contribute to the economy. Minister of Mines and Steel Developments, Olamileko Adebite, stated these are the 9th edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari's scorecard series in Abuja. Speaking on several issues bordering on illegal and artisanal mining progress in Abuja Steel Company, said government is committed to the promotion of the solid mineral sector in the country. And the federal government has developed a strategic plan that will serve as a shield for animals against transboundary diseases. Minister of Health Osage Hanire, who represented the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, unveiled the documents and said transboundary animal disease were responsible for more than 2 billion naira losses in the life sector subsector annually. He said government is looking at the possibility of regulating the use of antibiotics by humans and for the treatment of animals. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Mohammed Abubakar said the development and validation of strategic documents has received inputs and contributions from experts and key players in animal health and the livestock industry. A behind closed doors review of Palace Life has been promised in the series after a blaze of publicity and controversy. Netflix Harry and Meghan. It promises to reveal the inside story of how the Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped down from royal duties. Trailer referred to a war against Meghan, with Prince Harry speaking of the leaking and planting of stories as part of Dirty Game. There will be intense scrutiny of the series. A behind closed door view of Palace Life has been promised, with Prince Harry speaking of the pains and suffering of women marrying into this institution, in an apparent reference to his wife Meghan and mother Diana, Princess of Wales. These are some of the stories. Thanks for watching. I am Charles Alpha.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello, it's always our pleasure to see you join us on platform. I'm Ruth Aguele. The world today, we know, is driven by technology and innovations. Nigeria is leveraging on these advantages that the globe is embraced with. One critical aspect of this innovation is space exploration. There has been progressive steps in that direction, talking about for Nigeria. Now, the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASDA, was established in 1999 to fill that gap for the nation, with the goal of breaking new frontiers under the watchful eyes of the Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Interestingly, the modern space program in the country has been breaking new ground, some of which we will be exploring on the program, especially in the area of surveillance, security, agriculture, disaster control and other critical areas. Now, since 2003, when Nigeria procured launch of its first satellite, that is the Nigeria Sat-1, the nation has recorded more strides in that regard. A total of 5 satellites have been launched so far. We hear they are still operational. If I'm correct, well, the experts will fill us in on that. But our guests on the program will be telling us a lot about the latest update on the state of the nation satellites. Also, we want to find out how the agency has fared to make space science and technology application an integral part of nation building. Our focus on platform is space technology and nation building, and our guest is the Director General, National Space Research and Development Agency, Dr. Halilu Ahmed Shabba. Thank you for joining us on platform. This is your second time on platform, right?
Yes.
And it's always a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I'll take you through a bit of his profile, just a summary before I introduce our panelists. Dr. Halilu Ahmed Shabba is a distinguished scientist. He's a PhD holder in geography. He has worked in various capacities in the civil service before joining the agency. He has supervised different researches both locally and internationally. He's an author of many journals and several articles. Dr. Shabba has overseen the implementation of several projects of national interest. He is a member of different reputable groups and committees, both locally and internationally. Dr. Shabba has been conferred with an award of honorary fellow of prestigious bodies. He is an eminent brand in the field of space science, technology and innovation, and an innovator and a renowned scholar. So we'll leave it at that because there's so much about our guests. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Our panelist is our correspondent here, one of our correspondents here in NTA, Adebola Brookslin. Always a pleasure to have you join us on platform,
Thank you so much, Ruth. I'm glad to be here again.
Okay. Okay, so Dr. Shabba, if we want to look at the advancement, the level of advancement in space exploration, talking about for Nigeria, sometime back you made a reference or a statement, I quote, you said, taking our place in space and also take our place on Earth.
Yes.
Are we there yet?
Okay, thank you so much. The reason why I made that statement is the fact is we are the space actors representing Nigeria. And when you speak about space, it is a matter of state. You have only state actors. Anybody that is launching satellites in Nigeria, whatever is referred to Nigeria as a state. That is what we have in the space legal entity. So we now said, okay, we have to now measure so well so that Nigeria will be there, because that was the mandate that was given to the space agency, so that Nigerians will benefit from being a state actor. Nigeria should benefit from other products, whether it is Earth observation satellite, meteorological satellite, navigation satellite, and all that. So we have that mandate, and it is our responsibility to bring Nigerians closer to that. So we have to take that position so that Nigerians will benefit from that. And now we will take our space here on Earth. That is by referring, because we are the only actor that you have in the country. Any other person is just a beneficiary. We are a community of practice. Others are users community. So it's our responsibility to do that, to safeguard whatever activities they want to carry out. So now, in the Committee of Nation, in the spacefaring nations, we have people who are the early entrants.
Okay.
We know where they were and where they are now. We know how many satellites they are building there. we know also what they are using the satellites for. Now, even with the modest satellites that we have built, 3 Earth observation satellites, Nigerian Sat-1, Sat-2, and Sat-X, and 2 communication satellites, and the nano satellite, which is supposed to be an experimental satellite to teach how satellites is going to build, because the world is going smaller. I mean, the innovations are getting smaller and smaller.
That's how many in numbers, if you put
That
it?
is 6 satellites in number. Yeah, the nano is supposed to be, because it's
trial.
Yes, it's a trial, and we did that with Ghana and Japan and other 2 countries internationally, and that is putting it on the same pedestrian with what others are putting, if I will use the layman's language. So in the case of communication satellite, we had one which was launched because it was deorbited and it was replaced. That's why we call it Nicomsat 1R.
Okay.
Yes, it was replacement, because if you insure your satellite, if anything goes wrong with the satellite, it's going to be replaced because it is insured. So that was what we did. It's a modest entrance, and I think the world appreciate what we are doing so far.
Just to follow up to that before a develop comes in, this is quite commendable from what you have shared with us, but Nigerians would like to know the current state of these satellites. You know, how active, so to say, are they?
Okay, the communication, the Nigeria Sat X, I'll start from that. You can see that we say Nigeria Sat 1, Nigeria Sat 2. Nigeria Sat 1, Nigeria Sat 2 are satellites that are in the series of our satellites. If we are producing another one, it's going to be Nigeria Sat 3.
Okay.
But the X, because it is an experimental satellite, we had Nigeria Sat X. And what was it? Normally, there are 2 ways people were going into space. One, by starting from the scratch. Now, if they were starting from the scratch, it was going to take a long period. Now, the second method is by purchasing satellites. Now, when Nigeria was going into space, Nigeria brought the 3rd method, the first time ever. Now, what was this? We made a dovetail of number 1 method and number 2 method. That means we are going to purchase satellites, because you don't purchase satellite off the shelves. While the satellite is being built, we are going to have our engineers to be part of the building of that satellite so that they can have their hands dirty.
Okay.
Now, because they were part of that building of that satellite, we call it know-how technology transfer. So we made them part of building Nigeria Sat 1, we made them part of building Nigeria Sat 2.
Yeah.
And because of the experience they gained in the production of these 2 satellites, which we call procured, they were able to build the 3rd satellite, which is Nigeria Sat X, which is an experimental satellite. The whole idea at first was we were going to build a satellite to see how well they can do, since it was under supervision of those who built the 1st and 2nd satellite. When they finished with that satellite, the satellite was there and everybody was looking at it. Why will you take a beautiful satellite that has passed flight test? Why will you take it to museum and go and keep it anywhere? So it was decided that putting it in orbit is also another way of testing what the Nigerian scientists and engineers have built. So it was launched into space. And now, after everything, because you remember we said it was 5 and 7 years, after 5 years you can only bring it, lower it, so that other people will use it.
Okay.
The same engineers are now studying how to maneuver the satellite.
Brilliant.
Now, yes, the satellite, the Nigeria Sat-2, which was built, I was quoted severally that I said Nigerian satellite has expired. I said, well, everything has a date.
Yeah.
Yes. What the date of this satellite? The satellite is built to last 7 years. Now, the satellite was launched in August 2011. If you say +7, that means by 2018, the satellite shouldn't be in orbit.
Yeah.
That is for even medicine has expiring periods because you have what is on it.
But there's tolerance.
Now, yes, everything you do, because you don't climb You don't go to orbit to repair satellites. You use military-grade technology there. We have the best solar panels on it. We have the best energy system. Everything there is the best you can have when you are dealing with that, so that there wouldn't be issues of failures. Now, because we were able to achieve that, instead of lasting 7 years, by 2018, this satellite will have been deorbited, but the satellite is still in orbit and performing.
Till
Up
date.
to date.
Okay.
That is 11 years. So that is saying this is the feat of the satellite. It is now that we are considering lowering it to the lower orbit. The idea is so that we'll be able to have perfect control on that satellite. Perfect control in the sense that the fuel consumption will be less and everything will be less. So that is where we are now.
Okay, let me just quickly comment. One thing is to have a satellite in space.
Yeah.
Another is
using it.
part of your vision,
Yes.
which is maybe building, design, construction of our own indigenous satellite by our own indigenous engineers.
Yes.
Where are we?
Okay. Normally, if you are going to do that, you are starting with the training, capacity building, because
You've not been doing that.
No, I'm just trying to tell you what you want to know where we are.
Okay.
Because you are talking about an engine that is going to be in orbit.
Exactly.
You don't expect it to come down, and so you have to train. So we did capacity with Nigeria Sat 1, Sat 2, and we have demonstrated it in Nigeria Sat X. In the communication satellite 2, we did capacity building, and then we developed a roadmap to say this is what we want to do, and we have design of what our satellite is going to be. And like with every design in engineering, now you have more versatile satellites. So we had our design from the day the last one was launched. We had a design. We said, if we get money to launch this satellite, this is the design.
So if we get money,
This is
So funding is the constraint.
Yeah.
Yes, funding.
Okay.
That is the issue, and that is one. So if you are able to do that, and now before you now get to where you are going to say this is what you are developing, already the satellite faces are changing. They are becoming more flexible. They do better than what we had. If you ask us to launch another satellite today, we will launch a better satellite with a better strategy that is more flexible than what it is. And I can tell you, we have sat down, redesign what it is so that we
who are
meet the
these
modern
people
need.
who have sat down? I just want to know how
We as a
powerful
space agency-
local contents.
We are the space agency. We are the space. You
As the
invited me as a
researchers.
space agency.
Yes.
So I'm talking on behalf of the space agency, and that is we.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to be sure.
Yeah,
it
that is we, not any external body.
Exactly.
No, as a
You
space
just answered
agency,
my question.
that is what we have done so
Okay.
far. Now, talking about funding, if you look at it critically, I said this the last time I was here. I said the space agencies are not going through the normal budgetary allocations because of the needs.
Yeah.
Because of the amount that is needed to put a satellite in orbit. And for every satellite from day one, that is the mandate that was also given to us. They want Nigerians to be part of it from beginning to end. So now, even if we build satellite, our launch pad is not ready. We have to now take it to where the launch pad is ready so that it will be launched from the launch pad. Now, when you speak about the launch pad, and then we keep talking about it, we have been talking to, because the last time we had Federal Space Council, the president made it clear we need to have an input so that we also develop and assist the government. And this is so clear everywhere, which we understood. And we also talk with public-private partners so that they'll see where they can invest in space.
Because I was just going to ask you about public-private partnership. I know there's the dream of launching the Nigerian satellite into the
Nigerian
space
side.
on a Nigerian
Yes.
rocket.
Yes.
Now, it needs a lot of manpower, infrastructure,
Yes.
technology. You know, what about IGR for the agency? Is agency
Now,
getting IGR?
I will tell you why we operate in a unique environment.
Okay.
Now, when you talk to the banks to carry out visibility study, to even think of giving somebody loan, you have to be able to say what is the risk. There are few people in the space sector. So the banking must be willing to give loan so that private sectors will come in. For those that we spoke with few, they cannot assess their risk.
What about international bodies?
Now, the international bodies have a way they are going to enter into this. Now, there are a lot of clearance, and we are talking to them. They have their money, and they have whatever they want to do. But now, you have to now put it at par. The state interests and the international interests.
Okay.
Yes, that is one thing you have to. In everything we do, we want to build capacity for Nigeria. In their activities is no, we want to give you a satellite, we want to provide a satellite so that you have this. And that eliminates the interests of the state. Again, you have to think about the security areas too. If Nigeria is building satellite and is going to be also part of what the security is using, somebody should not be looking at where your focus is, where your attention is to. Now, you cannot carry the interests of the country and put in anybody's bag. No, you can't also put the security of the country in anyone's bag.
Sure.
So you have to now assess who is coming. We have a lot of people who are talking to us. Our government is going to give us money. Our government is willing to give us money. I said, our government has not denied us. No. We are just trying to be a kind of proactive. So if we cannot get this, can we look at other source of raising money? Because
that's why I asked about IGR from
yes,
the agency.
IGR will not give you that because there is no country in the whole world, and I want you to go and research this, that Earth observation satellite is providing them adequate money to build other Earth observation satellite. Earth observation satellite is like support system for the country to leapfrog.
Okay.
For example, now, when there is flood disaster, you need information, you don't need any. It's a strategic asset.
Yes.
That is what Earth observation is. Most countries that are making money from communication satellites for data, for broadcasting, for telephony. All these generate money. And when it is properly used, they now support the Earth observation. And this is where even at times Nigeria will play the big brother to other African countries when they have problems. Nigeria can say, okay, I'm giving you data over this so that you solve this problem. Because if anything, it's an ecosystem. If anything happened to a neighboring country, the flood, Nigeria will be the receiving end. So when there is a kind of deforestation, when you see desertification, when you see flood, when you see drought, you should be able to say, okay, I'm providing you this information or this data so that you build this and then you are able to copy it. So Nigeria will not receive the pressure afterwards.
Okay.
Well,
Yes.
I understand we have one of your stations, maybe Ife or so, where we have the launch pad.
Yes.
Yes, and I know there's a particular level of maybe kilometer that you have to get to. Where are we?
Okay. The area you are talking about is in Ekpe. That is Lagos.
Yes. No,
we have a launch pad there.
Yes.
Now, if you look at that, what we were thinking and what we hope that we will talk to, the general public will come in. We've been talking to them, say, come in. Because 1 kilometer, remember, Nigeria satellite was 100 kg. If kg to be launched into space is over $20,000. Now imagine if another country has like 200 kg satellite that will be launched by Nigeria. Imagine how much Nigeria is going to get.
Yes.
So the economy is not easily
that brings us to the issue of IGR.
Yeah,
the
because
economy is not open to public to know that, look, if we partake in this, and the launch pad is not developed to that extent. The launch pad is, we are still able to launch up to 10 kilometers.
Okay.
We didn't exceed that because if you look at, you can check, the budget is made public. We always say this is what we want, but we have to work with what we are given.
But you just said something very important.
Yes.
That the economy is not open to the public.
That is the knowledge.
Okay, the knowledge of the benefits.
The benefits.
That's where I'm headed.
Yeah, what the public is saying is, if I put my money here, when do I get it back?
That is where I'm headed, Dr. Shabba. There's a whole lot of economic benefit to this. And beyond the economy, when we're talking security, disaster control and all of that, there's a whole lot we can leverage from our satellite and space technology. What is the agency doing, to expand the discourse, to sensitize people to understand the benefits therein, and to allow people who have what it takes to put their money down and see value for it?
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, we are talking to so many people, and in a public like this, you just don't mention names. If not, we are talking to so many people to let them see this is the advantage. You can't talk to somebody who has just 10 million in his account and tell him come and invest here because it wouldn't get anywhere.
Yes.
Now, what you are talking about are people with bigger millions that they can say, I have investment, I can wait for this to come back to me. And then, like I told you, I said, we are also trying to talk to the banks because there must be, I am not an economic expert to say I can analyze the risks and the rest. For you to get loan, there must be a kind of visibility study and so on, and then it should be able to say this is the markup risk and the rest. Now in the space sector, you don't have that. They've tried it in agriculture, and then because some people are interested and they develop it. So the major thing is here, if you can give me the loan of maybe $1 billion, I will put it there because I know what it is, and then I don't have to look for money again. All I need to do is to be a bit patient, and once the launch pad is on,
And see the return.
I will sit down and see the return, because the equator is the closest to the orbit. We are sitting at the equator and we have that advantage. So we are now looking, there are other issues, complex issues, but we'll solve them. So now we try to talk to some state governors that are related to this field. Say, look, we can partner. You can partner with federal government and see what you can get from it. Let's develop this path together. Let other people come in. Now, apart from the fact that it will be a launch pad, we see what launch pads are. If you go to some launch pads, visitors alone bring in millions. Tourists.
Yeah.
They bring in millions to just come and see what it looks like. Despite being security area, there is a place where you go and you see what it is. It will bring so much money to the tourists who are coming there. Some people will purposely come to Lagos because they want to see this. So now there is a need for us to jointly develop this with some stakeholders, with some state government, so that we have this. Like now, if you look at it, between Ogun and Lagos is what we are proposing. So Ogun has a stake, Lagos has a stake, and we are proposing just something close to 3,000 hectares because we want it clean and we don't want it to affect anybody. So these two governors, you have to speak to them and then bring them to town so that they understand. Nobody is willing to give you land. But if you are able to come, you've been lucky. We've been lucky, and I can tell you that on many occasions, if you miss your launch pad, like when we were launching Nigeria Part 2, if you miss your launch pad, they will give you a long period. Most times, because of the budgetary allocation, we were missing our launch pad. They will give us a date. We'll go back to them and say, we want so date. And automatically, they will give it to us. I say, well, Nigeria is a lucky country. Others will go in. If they missed this schedule, they can't get any schedule because there are others that were scheduled and they will schedule them. But we've always been lucky to have this.
Okay. Let me take you back to the nano satellites.
Yes.
That was the last satellite that was launched for education. Can you tell us how beneficiaries have been using this? And let me now bring you to the recent event you had talking about nanotechnology, the advantage in agriculture, security, in fact, every aspect. So how can this be used, talking about socio-economic development, nanotechnology?
Thank you so much. The last satellite we launched, we call it nano satellite because of its size.
Yes.
Now, normally, it doesn't look like it's going to replace the bigger satellites.
Okay.
No, it's not like a replacement for the bigger satellite. But for example, they are launched for a purpose. They have a mission. And what is the mission? For every mission, you define what it's going to do. For example, now, I'll give you an example with the security challenges. You may decide to say, I want to have a nano satellite just for security information. Surveillance. Now, once you have it, you say, I'm going to have them on constellation so that one satellite is passing by. They are just like ad hoc arrangements where you have small satellite passing over Nigeria every 2 hours, every 3 hours, and they are cheaper. So that is it. The purpose, like you mentioned, is an educational purpose. Educational purpose in the sense that they brought experts from 5 countries, and these experts were together. Now they give them assignments like a mission planning, will ask this country, you have a satellite, I have a satellite, let's all work and develop this. Now that's another means of getting your hands dirty. And if you ask me, if I have to develop capacity, if I want to do capacity building, that's one of the ways I'll do it, so that I will have my engineers with other countries' engineers, and they build this, and now they put it on the same trajectory, so that it comes over and over again to the same place, maybe 2-3 times in a day. Now it's just below 50 million. So if you naira. So if you have that just for the purpose of what we are doing and looking at what the mission should be, you are going to have it traverse the whole country, come back to the whole country, and just do what we are supposed to do. When we designed that nano satellite, we were thinking of the first thing is, can we even have it so that school children will now come, log onto it, and hear the national anthem. We want to take our national anthem to space.
Wow.
If you look at the pledge, Nigeria has the best pledge. Go, I pledge to Nigeria, my country. If this is the best pledge,
and which is actually setting the foundation, right? When you target the younger ones, especially from school, now it gives them interest to want to, further their education in engineering and even looking at space sciences.
So we wanted to encourage patriotism. What can we do to encourage patriotism? Now, if you can just on and log to the station and hear the national anthem, then you can imagine, this is my country, my beautiful country. Now you start imagining, I have a country, and anywhere you are in the world, if you know the passage of that nano satellite, you should be able to tune in and get the national anthem. And then also, while we sing about the national pledge, if you look at it, we all pledge to this country. So what does it look like? What are we doing? It reminds you about this beautiful country that we are living in, and then how to make it great on a daily basis. If you pass 10 times and you listen 10 times, it still reminds you about that.
Is that working presently?
Now,
because it's a beautiful idea. I love it.
Yeah, we have the ground station. That is why I said, as we call it educational, we also did when we built our satellite, we built the first and second satellite, we have the ground station developed by Sorry Satellite Technology. When we did our nano, the people that were doing nano work are different from the people who are designing the ground station. In Nigeria here, they are sitting in Nigeria, just getting the specification they drive. And what we did, I can tell you, was so amazing. From that ground station, which was launched by our former minister, His Excellency Onu, you will see that we were able to also bring out a spin-off. What is the spin-off? We developed a kind of a surveillance system that when a plane is coming into Nigeria from 100 kilometers and above, you can tell the size of the plane and you can tell where it's going.
Impressive.
Yes, because there are spin-offs from the space science and technology. So you get to see, and you can say, this is the size of this plane, and it's coming, and this is the speed at which it's coming.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we'll definitely pick up with this conversation. Let's go on a break. We're back. Stay tuned.
Pleased that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress,
like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondents, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Aguilera.
especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years. If she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just park to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is the FIS?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just getting.
Welcome back. We're still talking space technology and nation building. Dr. Shabba, before we took that break, I was going to ask you about Nigeria's race to space in terms of ratings for Africa. I know there's a target by 2024, and 19 African countries would have sent, launched satellites into space, and making a total of 110 10 satellites, so to say, if I'm correct, from Africa. Where is the, how should I put this now? Where is Nigeria rated? Yes.
Well, at times when you come to our program, we call ourselves the African Premier Space Agency.
Okay.
And I remember the last time somebody said, why do you call yourself African Premier Space Agency? And I said, well, fine. We've come a long way. You wouldn't know. Like when the Honorable Minister was making a presentation, when he was showing at the War College, when he was saying, listing 57 achievements so far this year, I was even surprised. I said, oh, I didn't even know it was up to this, but we have seven centers. We have laboratories everywhere, and each one is working and we're collecting information on a daily basis. Now, I will give you instance. It's only Nigeria that the space agency has astronomy. It's only Nigeria that it's trying to develop its own launch pad. No African country is into this. It's only Nigeria that has the ambition of building satellite in its own land by its own people. And then it's only Nigeria that has that has its experts building an experimental satellite like Nigeria SatX. I know we don't blow our trumpets because recently South Africa launched its own space weather station. And when I saw the comments on LinkedIn and other places, they say it was the first, and I laugh. We have space weather station for over 10 years. NIMET will tell you this. We've been collaborating. It's more than 10 years. Maybe we didn't blow our trumpets far enough, or maybe we are not, because we are thinking.
But now it's a wake-up call.
Yeah, we are thinking we're scientists. We should do what we need to do. Those who are using what we develop should speak for us.
Yes.
But again, when you invite anybody to speak, he's so engulfed with what he is doing, so he is not blowing our trumpet, and then that's where it comes to say that if you don't blow your trumpets, nobody is.
But a collaborative effort.
Yes, because we were able to do so much in the area of upper atmosphere. We are doing so much in collecting from wherever you are in one center. All our next stations, you get the information on your desktop without moving there. This is digital. This does not require anyone to go and read them. All we try to do is like MOU with the universities, because they have the security, the right security. They have experts who will use this data. Now, when it comes to geodesy, it is only Nigerian Space Agency that is dealing with geodesy. And I can tell you, the CGG, that is Center for Geodesy and Geodynamics, it is only Nigeria.
So if I may come in,
yes,
to a layman, what is geodesy?
Geodesy is talking about, if we remember vividly, even if today they are launching many satellites, you ask them who built their satellites. They talk to other nations. But because, like I told you, there are two methods. Nigeria was the one that introduced the third method. A lot of people today are saying we want to go Nigerian way. While we paid for the satellite and it was being built, from beginning to the end, from the design and what should be acceptable, Nigerian engineers were part of it. Nigerian engineers were part of the launch of Nigeria. If we call ourselves Premier Space Agency, except if you are looking at what others are doing, again, with the kind of budget we have, nobody expects us to achieve the much we have achieved.
Okay, let me just come now, because you talked about the earthquake in Haiti, and our satellite was able to just capture something. There was a time we heard about of a rumor maybe is it Tremor in
Papi?
Papi, just close by here, and imagine the distance between Papi and the presidential villa.
Yes.
So now, recently I read again that they said, is it earthquake, is it tremor? Can you tell us if you even have what it takes to know what is happening there?
Well, we did, and we carried out our studies, and there was a presidential committee to study that, and then it studied it, and it went to Federal Executive Council. And I can tell you that from where it was, we have stations that are supposed to pick this, and they picked it. Now, what do you do? There is what we call triangulation, because you want to know the exact point. That's why we say there should be densification of seismic stations, so that you have more seismic stations. Because if you build anything for bigger waves, when there are smaller waves, what do you use in getting this? So we also want some smaller stations, but the big station is able to pick all this. But now, if you have the right triangulation because of densification, because it provides you the angle, it will give you the exact spot. You don't have to go to the field looking for it. And I was happy when it happened. The Honorable Minister was proactive enough. Before anything, the Minister, that is His Excellency Onu, he was there. He went to the field. He went to Impape. We went there, I think, with some media men to identify where it happened, to see the damage that were taking place. So all the tremors, all the fault lines, we have map about the fault line, and we also did vulnerability map.
Okay.
Yes, CGG developed a vulnerability map, which is supposed to tell you areas that. Well, the fact is, the presidential villa is not far from Impape, and we know what that means. Most of the places are known, because the same tremor that happened in Impape was also had up to Lugbe and even beyond. So if you have that distance and you have this distance, you definitely know that there is this.
Okay, Dr. Shabba, with security and other critical areas, how is the agency working closely with security agencies to leverage on some of these innovations?
Okay, I will tell you, part of the policy thrust, the first is security. And no country goes out selling data when you have security issues. Your first mandate, your first concern is to deal with the security issues and provide data.
Yeah.
Now, the space agency now, if you look at the way the cycle is, you have people who are operating within the theater, where the space agency is not part of it. And because of this, anywhere you go in the world, the DG or the head of the space agency is a member of the Security Council. Which is not the case in Nigeria, which is not the case